Hey cutie. Welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. I know we were off track for the first quarter of the year, but I am determined to start making these monthly updates again for my eyeshadow bank because this is just something that really helps me stay accountable and present and understand my eyeshadow consumption. Am I bringing too much makeup in that I can't really use and gain points the way that has really helped me curb my spending habits? And really, if you are struggling with consuming eyeshadow, I highly recommend maybe making your own version of the eyeshadow bank. I know Sophie Alexandra has her version. I believe there's a few other people. If you are doing this, please comment it below. I would love to include you and tag you in some of my updates, truly. But I really have changed my mindset with purchasing because of this eyeshadow bank. And I know that that sounds pretty silly that, oh my gosh, a spreadsheet changed my life, but it kind of is like a spreadsheet changed my life. It really does help me understand how much I'm bringing in and how long it takes to use those things up. So if you like Project Pan videos, if you like using your collection, if you like talking numbers and seeing like that kind of thing, I hope you consider subscribing before moving on so you can be part of the cutie family too. Back in March, I had a negative 105 points in the bank. So I had some catching up to do to get out of the negatives. If you are new to watching me in this project and how I accumulate things and just like my historical numbers, it seems like at the beginning of every year, I bring in a pretty substantially large palette, like 15 shades, 10 shades, put myself in a pretty decent negatives, and then spend the next like 6 months clawing myself out of those negatives. But I feel like this time I'm actually doing a lot better than I was. I still had a decent amount of ground to make up between March and to get to zero in general. And I'm not there yet, but I have made a really, I feel like I've made a running jump amount of progress within the past month to try to get myself out of the negatives. So while I haven't gotten there yet, I am still very proud of the work that I put into my collection to just get some points back into the bank. So we'll start with my No Pan Left Behind. I just filmed my No Pan Left Behind. You'll see it about a week before this goes live. But because I've already talked about it, I don't mind sharing it. I hit 3 No Pan Left Behind goals within the month. If you want to see what palettes those were, I recommend checking out those videos. If you're unfamiliar, I have a few different ways that I gain points. I have a decent amount of ways I gain points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 point gain thresholds. So I hit 3 points in my No Pan Left Behind section of my points gain. Then that moves over to my usage goals. So I hit a substantial amount of 10 points in the project this month. It's actually my best month so far in 2025. I was almost at January, was my best month before, and now April is now my best month. So I hit 7 different shades, cleared the 10 use threshold. I have them all in front of me in a little magnetic case. I don't know if this is necessarily in the order that I hit them in. I believe it is though. I believe it is. And it kind of makes sense with like the way that the shades are grouped because I wore a lot of these shades together in some capacity. My Cliona shade Carving, I have been really loving this shade. I actually ended up using it 11 times within. But that is the shade Sugar Drizzle Polishes shade Pickle Juice. This was a potted shade from the Pickle palette. Another Pan Those eyeshadow shade, but this is Fantasy Cosmetica shade Meteor Storm. And that was the shade Level Up by Kaleidos. This was a depotted shade from the VR Neon palette that I depotted at the beginning of the year. Also, I hit 10 uses in the shade Gargoyle. This is another shade that scares the pants off of me, and this still is a shade that intimidates me. I really do need to focus on this at some point, but it's really pretty. It's just really hard for me to incorporate this into my looks because it's such a deep shade. Shade Azalea, it is the shimmer that I was using in my Pan Those eyeshadows. The other shade that was in that I hit 10 uses is the shade Glory. This sucker barely even looks like I've used it. But those are all my 10 use shades. So I ended up gaining 7 points in my 10 uses, which is that's a huge gain in that category for me. I did not hit anything in my 25 use bucket, but that is totally fine because I actually hit 4 shades in my 50 uses. I can't believe it. I didn't expect to hit 50 uses in shades so quickly, but I mean, I hit a lot of my 25 uses in my Pan That palette a couple months ago, so it was only a matter of time before I started hitting my 50 uses in this palette, and that is predominantly where my 50 uses came from. However, I do have one other shade that's in my rolling 10 pan that I hit 50 uses, and that is this loose dark brown eyeshadow named Spice Fig. There is not a ton of product left in here. However, if you know anything about loose eyeshadows, you just know that they take forever to go through. So this is going to be with me for quite some time at this point. There really is not a ton of product. If I tap everything to the very bottom, there is literally such a small amount left in there. But you really don't need a whole lot of product to make any sort of substantial progress in this or impact on this. I need the smallest amount, and it really does look like a black on my eyes. So it gets a lot of use. It pairs really well with my Pan That palette because this doesn't have the most deep dark brown in it. So it does pair really well with something like this. So I have been getting some good use out of them. Anyway, 50 uses on this shade. Now let's talk about the progress that I've made in this. So I posted my Pan That palette update about a week and a half ago now. So hopefully you would have seen that update. If not, I'm going to give you a minute to check out. I'm going to link it right here. Give yourself a minute. Maybe come back to this video after you watch the update if you don't want spoilers. Because man, I made some pretty substantial progress and I don't want to spoil it. So within the Pan That palette this month, I ended up hitting 50 uses on 3 different shades. The first was No Sleep Club, this darkest brown that's in the palette here. I hit 50 uses in that guy. I also hit 50 uses in VIP Only. That is that lighter, more transition-y crease matte shade there. And the last shade I hit 50 uses in was the shade Endless Party, the coolest toned taupey brown. Nothing in 75 uses this month, nothing in 100 uses this month. However, gaining 12 points in my 50 uses, if that wasn't enough to like impress you guys, I ended up hitting 2 pans. So I gained 10 points in my 2 pans. And those 2 pans are also from this palette. If you did not catch that update, you maybe wouldn't have known, but I hit pan in these 2 shades. But that was 10 more points gained for my pan goal. So 10 points, 5 points per pan. I have not finished a shade off yet. However, I'm hoping between now and the next time we catch in for my eye bank, I will at least have 1 shade finished off to gain a bunch of points. But ending April, I ended up gaining a total of, drum roll, 32 points in the month of April. That is huge. That is an enormous amount of points gained within 1 month, in my opinion. I don't remember the last time I've hit 32 points in a month. That is a substantial amount of points. I've really been setting a target to sort my eyeshadow tracking by usage and see what 10 uses I can kind of nip out pretty quickly. So that's been really successful for me, and it's been helping me really focus in on some of these shades more often. Now, I am feeling a little bit stretched thin in terms of eyeshadows because I have my Pan Those eyeshadows. I have the 10 points that I'm trying to gain in this project in certain ways, and then I have my Pan That palette. So I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed in terms of all of the things I'm trying to do this year. So I think I might be changing some projects around, which you might have already seen, you might not have seen. I don't know what's coming first in terms of this in some of my other project pans, but I am planning on maybe changing the way one project is going. I'm excited about what I've done this year so far. I'm excited about continuing to climb my way out of the deficit. If I was able to hit 30 points, 32 points this month, I only have 73 more points to go before I'm like level with 0 again. And I mean, realistically, I probably can do that within 2 months. If I did 32 points this month, that's realistically like 60 points within the next 2 months that I would need to do. 2 or 3 months, and I'm hoping that I can get my out of the negatives. I would hope sooner than that. If I can finish a shade out of my rolling 10 pan sooner than later, finishing a shade is 10 points. That would be a humongous step in the right direction. That would be like a big like running jump in the right direction in my head. And then if I can hit another couple pans in my Pan That palette, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. One for sure, second one I don't know about, but I feel like I'm not hitting pan as much this year. And I mean, realistically, it shows. It shows. I hit a lot of pan last year and gained a lot of points. Now, I did change the way that my points were structured from last year to this year. So I gained points a little bit faster for hitting pan. And then there's certain threshold groups like 75 uses I didn't have last year. I haven't even hit it yet, and we're already in May. However, I know that that's coming because of the tracked usage in some projects that I have. So I feel like the points are going to start coming a little bit faster now that we've reached almost the halfway point of 2025. So I'm hoping the points will just start not pouring in, but I'm hoping to accumulate them faster. I'm hoping that I can continue to make a lot of really good progress in this project. It not really a project, because this is just something that's really I've done to really change my mindset on makeup consumption, and it's really helped. Now, I know I did a low buy beauty bank in a very similar capacity at the beginning of the year. Have I updated it? No. Am I tracking my usage? Yes. However, I've decided that I'm not really interested in low buying my entire collection in that capacity, because I don't tend to have a problem purchasing makeup in other areas of my collection. Eyeshadow is my worst section of makeup. I definitely tend to overbuy. Clearly, I have a lot of eyeshadow that I will never be able to finish by the time it goes bad. So this is just a way for me to prioritize my eyeshadow. I don't have an issue with my other makeup areas, truly. Like, I'm getting there with lip liners, it seems like, but lip liners are something that I only had a few, and I've been growing that collection because things haven't been working the way that I've wanted them to. I had a lot more bold items versus neutrals, so I've needed a lot more neutrals to make me feel really put together. And that's an area of my collection that I really like. I honestly really like my lip liner collection. I like my lip liners and my lip glosses. Those are like my two faves. Lipsticks, don't care about. I've never really been a lipstick gal. I forced myself, and I always have tried to make myself a lipstick girl, but that is not an area that I like. So it's really just my eyeshadow bank. My eyeshadow bank is one of my favorite tracking things that I do on my channel. I like tracking how long it takes me to hit pan in shades. I like tracking how long it takes me to use shades. I hope you guys, if you guys do something like this, I hope your method of figuring it out is way better and more efficient than mine. However, I've enjoyed my spreadsheet quite a bit. That is it for my eye bank. April 2025 progress check-in, I guess, for my new way of consuming eyeshadow. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys are staying healthy, sane, and safe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!